Look at him. Look at him. Look at him. Worth the wait. Worth the introduction that they gave him. Hello and welcome back to Actually Let's Talk About It with me, your host Lily, and today I will be reacting to Moonlight Chicken episode 3. So where we left off in episode 2 was basically Uncle Jim had a lot of responsibilities with not just his nephew, but the people who also, with the person who also works in his chicken rice shop. And he was just really making sure that everyone around him is taken care of. You see that as it's kind of like a good and a bad thing, because my thoughts after watching episodes 1 or 2 of Moonlight Chicken is that Uncle Jim somehow has like a belief that he doesn't deserve to be happy as well. He's just happy that the people around him are happy or successful, and that's kind of not a good place to be in. So hopefully we'll see more explanation into why he feels that exactly. And then in terms of Wen, we find out that Wen also has a job working at the mall. And then from what Gaipo was saying earlier in episode 2, the mall is seeking to expand and is buying out the small business owners within the area to seize the land so that they could expand the mall further. So I'm not sure if Wen will have a connection with that since he is an employee of the mall, or if it comes out that Wen is actually either related to or is the owner of the mall. We don't know. And then we still have the issue of the fact that Wen lives with someone. That person is most likely the Alan character that was referenced in episode 1, and we still haven't seen that man. So we're going to see if we get to see him. And then also we have the preciousness that is Li Ming, and he's just trying to find out what he wants to do with his life, especially now that he's getting closer towards the end of high school and he wants to travel abroad, but doesn't believe that he would know the language in order to do so. But he does want to go to either the US or Australia. And then we have Heart, who has become deaf due to a disease, and who Li Ming is kind of befriending as he is working in his household. And so we're going to see how these characters are going to progress and go forward. And then we also have Prao and Lean. And then we're going to see what's going to happen with them in terms of them becoming parents and them also having to get married as well, because Prao did get pregnant. So let's just see what's going to happen here. They're going to demolish the area, including the chicken rice shop. Oh, I already look. It's a necessary conversation about, we call it in the States gentrification. I'm not sure what it's called in terms of Thailand, when big businesses take over and push out smaller businesses or family businesses who aren't as profitable. But in the States, we call it gentrification. And it usually happens in areas where, in the States anyway, where there's a lot of diverse peoples of different ethnic backgrounds, whether they be Black, Asian, Indigenous, or other people of color. And it's when big corporations, who are usually helmed or founded by European, whether they be European Americans or European people in general, come into these areas, knock down what was there, and build new overpriced things and commodities. So it's interesting to see what that looks like in other countries in terms of just big business taking and really just knocking out the small business owners. And there's like nothing that they can really do to fight it unless they can pay what the landlord wants them to pay. But I'm hoping Uncle Jim and the people around him can overcome this and find a way to keep their businesses, because this just don't seem right. Like, there should be another location that they can move it to. They shouldn't be trying to uproot these community businesses for the sake of commercial property and most likely what is going to be a tourist spot. So I just believe that could just ruin the culture of a place by just making it very generic. But that's just me. Oh, okay, Gaipa. He sees you win. Okay, like, not us getting smiles every time Li Ming is interacting with Heart and trying to communicate with him. Just the effort that Li Ming will put into learning sign language versus Heart's own biological parents, literally his mother who gave birth to him, will not even learn sign language for him, because I have yet to see that woman sign to him at all. I have yet to see it. And we've only seen his parents once, really. Well, you technically have seen the mother twice. We saw both of his parents together in episode 1, and then we saw his mother briefly in episode 2. And in both of those interactions, she did not sign with Heart. And in one of those interactions, Heart wasn't even in the same room. So that's telling me everything I need to know about his parents. They're not even trying to help him. They literally give him a notepad and make him write out whatever he wants to say to them on that notepad. And when you do that to someone who is not only a teenager and a child and needs your guidance and your love, and you to just cater to them while he's going through a difficult process, because it's a process going from being hearing to not being able to hear at all. And then on top of that, he had to go from being hearing and not needing to know sign language to losing his hearing and needing to learn it. And his parents did not help him learn it. He most likely had to teach himself. So just to see that he finally has somebody on his side to listen to him and to try to get to know him as who he is right now, that's a big deal. And also, Li Ming also has a person he can confide in that's his own age. So it's a win for both of them, and I'm rooting for them. Period. Because I forget his parents is rich.
เล่าให้ฟังหน่อย
Aww. And I'm glad that they're showing that these people who may be considered small businesses, they are at a lot of times the foundation of the community. They are very essential, and they do a lot for the people, and a lot of time they do it for free. And Uncle Jim is one of those type of people. He does it for free just because he loves his community and because he loves the people in it. And that's very genuine. And it's not rare to find. It's actually common. But I'm glad that they're showing that this is what big businesses are ruining. This is what corporate greed and capitalism are taking away from communities and from people in various countries, because capitalism is all around the world and big business is all around the world. This is what you're taking away from the community for something artificial and that won't be relevant. It'll just be another building with no heart or soul in it. And you're taking away the heart or soul of the community for money. Like you can't make money somewhere else. You know, so I'm glad that they're showing the cost of capitalism and greed and big corporations, because it's not worth it. I would rather have so many Moonlight Chicken diners and mom and pop stores, etc., than all the industrialism that we have, even in the States. Because what is the good of it if they do nothing to help the community? I don't really see a point. So I'm glad that they're speaking on it and they're letting it be known that this is what we sacrifice and this is what the government sometimes, like, I know the US, we have like, there's not a monopoly that can be had, but a lot of companies are subverting that. And I'm not sure how it goes in Thailand, but I think that I would hope that their government would become, you know, really cool in making sure that these small businesses are protected, especially where it's a historical district, where it has a lot of history and culture tied to it. Those type of places and areas and neighborhoods shouldn't be allowed to be demolished simply because a business wants to put something new there. I think there should be some type of cultural protection of that land, especially knowing how significant it is in Thailand. And then also in the States as well, because there's a lot of culturally significant places in the States that were ruined by big business, poisoned by big business, literally, because what they were trying to do poisoned the land and the water. So yeah, I'm just hoping that a lot of governments, a lot of people that need to see this to understand the price on the community when we allow money to kind of become your god or profits to be more important than people, what it looks like and what it destroys and what you're giving up in exchange for it. Because it's heavy.
ไม่มีโอกาสเลยครับ
In the temple, sir? I can't believe Wynn was bold enough to ask that question in the temple. Who is this man? What? Who is this man? Like, y'all see what I'm seeing? It's Uncle Jim's car. Oh my goodness. Uncle Jim is scarred. That's why he just wants one night stands. I think this man broke his heart. I think this man broke Uncle Jim's heart. It's always the ones that seem like they have the sweetest appearance too. Because you would not think that that man could have possibly been capable of hurting Uncle Jim, but I know he did. That's why I went from Wen to his ex. Oh, I already know this man gonna be doing something trifling, and I don't know if I want to see it just yet, but I got to keep going. But damn, I already know he gonna hurt Uncle Jim. Because Uncle Jim even looks different. Earth is such a phenomenal actor because the way that he just looked in the scene with Mix as Wen is very much different than the way he's looking here. He looks way more young and way more vulnerable than he just did a few seconds ago in the other scene. This man, GMMTV, I hope they know what they got with Earth. Pure pot. Okay? I hope they know what they got with this man because he just did that. He is giving us youth and vulnerability here, whereas with the scene with Wen, he was giving us adulthood experience and maturity and also closed offness as well. Very different emotions than what he's conveying here. Oh my goodness. Kudos. He seemed like a ride-or-die though, y'all. This man seemed like a ride-or-die. Oh, this must have been decades ago when being out was definitely not in. Definitely not. Was something you still had to keep a secret. Because if Uncle Jim's almost in his 40s, he's in his late 30s as a character. This is most likely 15, 16, 17, 18 years ago when he was in his 20s. When Moonlight Chicken Diner first started. And that was a different time. Even in the States. 15, 16, 17, 18 years ago. For people who identified as any portion of the LGBTQIA plus community. It was just not. And that was me being a kid 15, 16, 17, 18 years ago. And it was just not the climate and the things that people would say, not just in person, but the things that were allowed to be said in media at that time against people. Y'all, it was just not it. It was definitely giving homophobic back then. And that's putting it lightly. Unfortunately, that's putting it lightly. So yeah, I understand Uncle Jim's his cautiousness. But this isn't Uncle Jim that we're looking at right now. This is just Jim. And we're seeing how he became the Uncle Jim we know today. And I hope we don't have to cry on this because, I know it's going to get deep. Like the liveliness he had, it's not the same as the Uncle Jim that we know as the audience from the last 2 episodes. It's a completely different man. So not Jim finding out his man's cheating. And then his cheating ass man having the audacity to say, oh, you're checking my phone now? Sir, number 1, who leaves their phone without a passcode? Number 2, y'all in a relationship. and he was just looking at your phone because somebody was blowing it up, just to find this man's and your photo attached to his name, and then he looking at your gallery and see you laid up with this random man. Who's really in the wrong here? I'm just got glasses. I don't trust you. Didn't as soon as I saw you. So not only does he have to deal with his ex, who's a cheating asshole, but he got a homophobic sister. And on top of that, he's taking care of his nephew for his homophobic sister. Uncle Jim truly is better than me. Truly. Because if I was identifying as any portion of LGBTQIA plus community and my sibling said this kind of mess to me, oh, we'd be done. I'm like, oh, you don't gotta worry about me, honey. You do not have to worry about me, family or not. You wrong. Until you get right, we're not gonna be associating at all. Complete cutoff. Done. Uncle Jim is he's way too kind. Because if my siblings said something like this to me, that would be it. That would be it. Because it's so disrespectful to degrade somebody's sexuality just because you don't get it. There's a lot of things we don't get. A lot of people don't get astrophysicists or any type of philosophies within that genre. But it still exists. Doesn't make it any less real just because you don't get it. Some people don't believe in math, but they still use it every day. So I'm like, you are acting like somebody liking someone of the same gender is so far-fetched when I'm like, do you not know history? Like, you love who you love and you like who you like, and gender is the thing that doesn't matter at all in that type of scenario or that situation. It literally doesn't matter. It doesn't. I'm like, I just know that you're a great person and I want to be with you. And whether you're a man or a woman or a non-gender binary person, I'm going to do that. And if anybody got something to say about it, tough. It's not going to stop me from being with who I love and who loves me back. Okay? Emphasis on the who loves you back. Period. One thing I can respect about the landlord is that he's accepting whatever money that Uncle Jim can give him. And he's also letting him know that he has an offer from this big business to buy this property from him. But he's letting Uncle Jim decide. And the fact that he came to tell him in person, this landlord is really, in my opinion, really, really kind. Because some landlords will not. They'll just sell it and say, you got to be out by this time. Period. We're done. But the fact that he's asking, he said, can you make a decision on if you want to keep this diner or if you will allow it to be sold? I don't know what Uncle Jim gonna choose. What is Uncle Jim gonna do? Gaiba, aka Cow Tongue, he's really giving a boost of joy in every scene he's in. I like that Gaiba is like giving Uncle Jim all of the cues, and Uncle Jim knows that Gaiba likes him, and Gaiba knows that Uncle Jim knows that he likes him, but he's not trying to force Uncle Jim to feel the same. He's just letting it be known, I like you, and I want to spend more time with you. But he's also letting Uncle Jim have the option to say no. And I think that's really important. Like, you can like someone all you want, and they don't have to reciprocate your feelings back. And you can still be respectful about it. And I like that that's what they're showing here. This is just a lot Uncle Jim is doing. He is playing dad to his nephew. And we still don't know what's going on with his sister to where her son is not with her. Li Ming is one of those people who, they're very intelligent because Li Ming is smart. He is smart. It's just that some people, even though they're very intelligent, that intelligence does not translate into the form of tests. and quizzes. It does not translate over sometimes. Even though they're smart, they know what they're doing. They understand the material. And they have a comprehension that exceeds what is in the textbook of the material. It's just when it's time for those quizzes, and it's time for those tests, and even sometimes when it's time to do the homework, it's just not engaging enough for that intelligence to be shown in the way it needs to be. And so I feel Li Ming, because there's been people like that for a very long time, and it doesn't make you any less intelligent just because you don't test well. A lot of intelligent people don't test well because tests are sometimes subjective. It depends on who the test makers are and a lot of other things, but it doesn't equate your intelligence. But I feel how he's feeling, because he's feeling like he is going to get in some trouble and like he doesn't know what he's going to do after school, because his friends keep mentioning we're in grade 12 and his friends keep mentioning their plans for the future. And Li Ming just really wants to go study abroad, or he wants to work and study abroad. And that's where his head is at. So I do hope that Li Ming will find his footing. But that scene was intense. I ain't even gonna lie, because Li Ming was making some valid points. He just wants to work and he wants to travel. And he can learn English along the way, because you can. You can, especially if it goes to like New York City or if it goes to LA. There's certain parts of the United States where you don't necessarily need to know how to speak English very well. You can get by on a few things, and as long as you're a great worker, employers will hire you and you'll be able to make money. So Li Ming wanting to just work and travel, it's not very far-fetched, and he's very capable of being able to do it. Because even on his English quiz that they got back, he did get a 4 out of 10. It may not be a 10 out of 10, but it's a 4 out of 10. Okay, so he got some comprehension going on. He won't be completely lost in America if he wanted to go there, or the U.S. if he wanted to go. But in terms of what Uncle Jim is saying, Li Ming does need to have a plan, because the United States, I'm an American citizen, born and raised, family been here for generations. And knowing that, and knowing how hard it is to be a Black person in America that's being born and raised here, and he's going over to do work and travel as a Thai person in America, an Asian person, that's the way that they're going to see him once he gets over here. And knowing the things that have been happening in the climate that has been, and the amount of xenophobia, he's definitely going to need a plan. Because there are certain portions of the United States that are very bad for people who are not European American to be in. And I'm going to leave it there. So when you have when I hear this on sometimes in different dramas that I watch, whether they be Thai or Korean or Chinese-based dramas, hearing that they want to go to America, I'm always thinking about what's going on politically, economically in my country. And I'm like, there are certain areas you don't want to be in, and certain positions you don't want to put yourself in as a person of color. That's all I'm going to say about it. And so I get what Uncle Jim, why he's so hesitant to let him go, because you do need to have a plan. You do need to have a plan. You can't just say, I want to go to the States to work and travel. You need to know where you can go, what would be the safest place for you, what places aren't known to have a lot of mass shootings, because in America, in the United States, we have those. Often, unfortunately. You got to think about those things when you're coming from another country here, because that's not the case in Thailand. There's not a lot of history of that. But in the States, there is. So you have to think of that. And then he also needs to think about how he's going to get the plane ticket there. If something was to come up in the States, how would he get a plane ticket back home? That kind of thing. His passport, his visa in the States. Those kind of things that would need to come up. So I get what Uncle Jim is saying in regards to his nephew's safety. And I get that. But I also get that Li Ming doesn't want to study. He doesn't want to go to cram school. He doesn't want to go to a university in Thailand. And Uncle Jim shouldn't be forcing him to want that, because higher education is not for everybody. Everybody doesn't need higher education. A high school diploma is good enough for some people. Everybody doesn't want to keep going to school to learn about things that they don't care about and they're not passionate about. It's a waste of money, because after you exit high school, you're going to go into college and you're paying to be there. That's the difference. You're paying to learn things about things that you want to do. And if Li Ming doesn't want to pay to learn about these things, Uncle Jim needs to ease up. And that's all. Not Lin being like another parental figure for Li Ming. Yep, he just needs to be alone for a while. And he's being proud of himself too. Heart is giving cuteness. Okay, so from what we just heard, I'm assuming that Wen and Alan are still somehow a thing. Somehow, because I'm like, I peeped game when I realized that they lived together still back in like episode 1, and then the fact that they still share a room. That's not ex behavior, that's very much couple stuff still, even if you're a couple that's not really talking and vibing. The fact is, y'all still being in the same room at the end of the day. Even if it is complicated, it don't look right. You need to officiate what the heck is going on, whether you want to break or you want to break up. Because at that point, if you don't want that person and you out here chasing after Uncle Jim and out here having one night stands with Uncle Jim and out here working at his diner in addition to your own job that you have, why are you still leading this person on? Like, you really gonna come back to them. He invited this man to be at the family dinner. Okay then. Oh, is the kids drinking? Shot for shot. Sir. I'm done. Heart is a genius. Heart is a genius. This is why this man has not been caught yet, except when he dropped the glass bottle of the alcohol. And that's when he was caught. But a Heart is really learning the ways of being cunning and sneaky. And I love to see the smiles on both their faces. Like, they can only be carefree and vibrant with one another. I want them to have no problems. Period. I want the best for Heart and Li Ming. The best, the best, the best, the best. Only good things. Only the good. Goodness. I love them so. Okay, Li Ming, I see where your eyes was drifting to. And you too, Heart. I caught you as well. His father is such a dad. Oh, wow. That's how... okay. I didn't know that's how it was seen. These two are so adorable and wonderful. I love them. They must be protected because they are innocent children. And can we just acknowledge how phenomenal Gemini and Fourth are? Not just in this series, Moonlight Chicken, but in My School President as well. They are really in their acting bags, and the fact that they are both only 18 years old is just the icing on top of the cake. They are the fresh talent coming out of GMMTV, and I love to see it because they are carrying, not in just this show, but in their other show that is just them as the main leads. They are carrying. They are not like, they are carrying. There's nothing lacking about any of their scenes or any of their executions of the interpretations of their characters. These two are really freaking talented, and GMMTV is so lucky to have them, and that's all I'm gonna say about it. But yeah, look at Heart's little face. Oh my goodness. Ooh, it's giving couple teams. Oh, and he's doing us a promise.
เรื่อยๆไปตลอดเลย
อ๋อ
ฉันจะดู อ่ะอธิษฐาน
But no under his door. They are such horrible parents. Is that a piano? Oh no, I'm not gonna start crying because the fact that Hart probably used to play on that piano and now he can't hear a single note from that piano. And to have parents that aren't even understanding at all in the slightest of what he's going through. What? Okay, so the homeboy is there, whoever this person is that he shares a room with. And looking mighty good, may I add. May I add, okay. Okay, now I know why P-Off waited, because look at this man. Look at this man. Look at this man. It might be the last couple of minutes of the episode, but look at this man. Look at First. Look at him. Look at First, aka Alan. Look at him. Look at him. Look at him. Worth the wait. Worth the introduction that they gave him, because he is giving us fine, but he's also giving that this man is in love with Wen, obviously. And Wen is purposely either leading this man on, or this man can't take a hint. But I'm leaning more towards the fact that Wen is leading him on into thinking that he's still in love with him when you are obviously not. You all upon Uncle Jim. Literally, since the moment you first saw him, you've been up on that man and have not kept him out of your sight since. Why is Alan still thinking that y'all together? You telling your father it's complicated at the dinner table when y'all was out at the restaurant but have you told Alan that you don't like him like that no more? Have you made any moves to move out of this place you share with him? Because if he has not, then that makes Wen a cheater by definition. And I'm gonna be on Alan's side on this, and Uncle Jim. Because once Uncle Jim finds out Wen has a man, he gonna get triggered because his ex cheated too. See, if Wen had his ducks in a row, if Wen had his house in order, this wouldn't become an issue in episode 4, because Wen's lies are catching up to him. I'm like, it's the fact that you're living with a man that you obviously don't care about, and you have not broken up with him. And it's also the fact that you're sleeping with a man that owns a chicken rice shop, and you're not done with the man who lives with you yet. You haven't broken it off with him yet. So I'm trying to understand why you're trying to pursue Uncle Jim and also have your man at home too. It's not making earthly sense to me, and Wen is going to need to take accountability for the situations he's getting himself into. I mean, it's not hard to break up with someone. For real. And to tell them honestly, I don't want to be with you anymore romantically. But if you are up to it, we could still be very much great friends. How hard is that? To be honest. Went out here having one-night stands with men he met at chicken restaurants, and then on top of that, pursuing that said man after he made it very clear that it was just a one-night stand, and you got a man that you live with and that you sleep in the same bed with, that still thinks y'all in a relationship. I'm trying to understand the logic. I'm trying to understand what Wen is doing here, but it's giving very much cheating behavior. It's giving very much dishonorable behavior here. And I'm going to try to keep it brief on that, but Wen is going to get himself caught up in episode 4, and that's what I think is going to happen. However, the recap for this episode is simple. Gemini and Fourth, aka Hart and Li Ming, top notch. Earth and Mix are going to serve as usual. Cow Tongue gave. Everybody else they was on their JOB as well. It was just a wonderful episode. Moonlight Chicken is really that show. I haven't watched any other shows from the Midnight series, and I was very excited for this one because P-Off never misses. and I can't wait for episode 4. But if y'all have stayed until the end of this reaction, please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and to subscribe as well for more reactions, because I am also reacting to Never Let Me Go the series, and I'm also reacting to Free Ridge. I will be reacting to other shows as well as I record those reactions, but those are just a few of the shows, and also The Glory Part 2 when it comes out on Netflix in March. So look forward to those. And also, yeah, that's pretty much it. But don't forget to subscribe for real. And to leave a comment about what you thought about this episode and what characters are you rooting for. I'm really rooting for Uncle Jim. Really, truthfully, heartfully rooting for this man to get some type of happy ending. I'm rooting for Li Ming. I'm rooting for Heart. And I'm also rooting for Alan because he does not deserve to be treated the way Wynn is about to treat him. I feel it in my bones. Wynn is out here being on his worst behavior, and that's going to come back to bite him. However, Uncle Jim and Alan, I'm on their team. Not on Wynn's side on here. He needs to get his life together. He needs to get himself together. And he needs to figure out what he actually wants, because playing around with two men who do not know about each other is different when you're playing around with people who know about each other. And everybody's agreeable. It's different. But when you got people who don't know about each other, then it's cheating and it's scandalous behavior. And he got to correct it. No further room for debate there. But yeah, I hope y'all like this reaction. Again, thank y'all so much for staying to the end of the video. And I will see y'all in Moonlight Chicken episode 4 reaction. Bye.